Oh, what? I got a new logo. Oh well. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Q&A and critique number 43. So let me just do a quick sound check. Yes, microphone is working. You guys should be open as well. And now we're transmitting live. So thanks for connecting. We've got a number of people already connected. Thanks for the patience. And so today we're going to take a look at animatics, basically why we need to do them and what are they good for. And then we're going to take a look at how to use the experimental asset manager system with collections and grease pencil to work animatics nice and quickly. And then we're going to take a look at scene management and using VSE add-ons to help us work animatics as if we're using something like Unreal Engine or others. And with that, I'll showcase a little bit about my Painterly project and what I have so far. So I hope you guys are you ready? If you have any questions or some art that you'd like to take a look at, feel free to drop it into the Q&A and critique chat, or open up your microphone. Feel free to talk. So you guys ready? Let's have some fun. So first things first, I want you guys to have you guys used the asset manager before. We've got
Not really.
Not really, no. Slink has used it. That's good. Alright, so basically I'll give you a quick rundown. The asset manager is basically an editor that you can find in above the spreadsheet or below the file browser. And if you go to your editor preferences or the user preferences, you go to the interface, turn on the developer extras, and then go to experimental, and then turn on extended asset browser. So the extended asset browser is basically more features that you can use. For example, you can save collections, or you can save other types of aspects like environment maps and things like that. The default only has, I think, mesh data and node groups and materials, maybe. But this one, we want collections because collections gives us the most amount of power, I guess you could say, when it comes to layout. So let's take a look at, I have prepared some assets here, and I'm just going to show you what we're going to do exactly. So I have written a short story, and in this short story I have a little script. And with the script I got like a number of shots that I need to take a look at, and we're going to start at the basis. So if you guys remember from probably a few months back, we have stories that we write using the hero's journey or story writing and others, and we use a format called Fountain, which is a markup, the official markup for script writing or screenplays for television and cinema. So this Fountain code or markup, we can use any software. There are many out there that can save the files for us in PDF form to help the script writers read out the text, or we can use it as an actual code to kind of control what we want to say. So let's take a look. I'm using Visual Studio Code at the moment to create my Fountain file, but we're also going to use it inside Blender using a couple of add-ons. So let me just show the Fountain add-on that I've added to the actual visual code to give us some commands. Where are they? It's in a restricted mode. Trust. Go back to View, Command Palette, Fountain Outline Viewer. Okay, my add-ons are broken for some reason. But basically, here's my script. So I have a couple of shots. I have a piece of the text from the music. This is for a music video. I have a rough scene description of what's happening. And I have basic like what I'm going to do in my video edit. And I've labeled my scenes as like an exterior, scene 2, which is song 2, and P03 or shot 3 or plano. In Spanish it's plano, like plane, or shot 3, but I don't like using SS, so I just use SP. You can use whatever nomenclature you want. So this would be my scene, and this would be my description. And I can also include dialogue of any kind, of any actor, of any sort. So let's take a look at the first add-on that we want to use inside the visual sequencer editor. So let's make a new scene, just to give you an idea. So to get the visual sequencer editor, we can use a new template called video editing, or we can up here in file, new from template video editing, or we can just add the video editing template from the video editing workspace. So we're going to do that. I already have it added up here in the workspace, and I've changed it to left-handed, but basically this is the workspace. You have your timeline, you have your visual preview editor thing, and you have any other editor that you would need. So for example, I might bring out my text editor to bring out the fountain file, and I'll probably bring out my 3D view to do layout, just in case. And I have my central view to kind of like see what I'm looking at inside the video editor. So inside the video editor, if you press Shift A, you have the option of adding scenes and images and videos or whatever you need, effect strips, or the adjustment layer, which is very nice. So for example, you can have a stack of effects over an adjustment layer, which would apply to everything underneath the adjustment layer. So there's a lot of power going on inside the video sequencer editor. But first things first, we need to load up the script. So let me just quickly load up, and we'll take a look at the first add-on. So the two add-ons that I'm going to be showcasing principally today one is called the Scene Strip Tools and the Fountain Unfurling Tool to get ready to do the animatics. So to use the Asset Manager for layout and animatics, which is basically setting up an animation, we need to do a lot of preparation. But I wanted to ask you guys before I continue into the technical walkthrough is what do you guys know is an animatic? What is an animatic and why do we need it? If you guys have worked with animatics before, drop me a little message in the Q&A. If not, I'll just carry on. Okay, so Slink has never done animations before. That's okay. I guess this is the step up of like, okay, so we're all here, we're all learning. Oh, Jish is writing. Are they like storyboards? To a degree, yes, that's exactly what we're looking at. So for example, let's think of my story here. I'm just going to quickly read it out so you guys understand. When we do animation in 3D, and when we get a job in the industry, in a game studio or an animation studio or even publicity, basically we all have a story to tell or a message. And when we have a message, we go through a timeline to kind of explain the message. So if we're like a storyboard artist, typically we're given the script, which is this script here, and then we're given different types of tools to draw thumbnails or to draw sequences of character, dialogue, and animation and different things like that to kind of set up a proposal, a visual proposal of a story. And we might do this by drawing out the first shot of like somebody grabbing a suitcase, another shot of like a drone flying over the city, another shot of people getting out of some transport, another shot of like somebody clocking in or walking inside the lobby of the office, another shot of people sitting down at the desks and turning on the screens and turning on their computers, another shot of someone pressing the power button, another shot of somebody grabbing a cup of coffee, another person like they're all working and going on their business meetings from inside their office buildings. You know, there you start drawing a sequence of shots. But if we're doing 3D, the next thing after you draw a sequence of shots is you need to time it to music, and sound. You need to start editing the video proposal of what people need to do in 3D. So Blender gives us powerful tools to help us visualize the story without needing to draw so much. We could draw with the grease pencil, obviously. We can use their animation tools directly, but we can already begin to do scene management and layout directly over the script. And this is what we call an animatic, is where we do a 3D representation of the story as a draft before we start doing the polished work for your entire story. And this is the part that happens after storyboarding. So storyboarding, you have your general idea, then you have a storyboard edit, which would be the first iteration of an animatic, and then you have your 3D storyboard to help you create your 3D storyline or general idea of how you want to set up your cameras, your cinematography, how you want to set up your general idea of animation with the grease pencil, or basic rigged character, or placeholders, and you kind of work a new story using the creative tools built inside Blender. So most storyboard software does not have a very strong 3D space, or a mixture of 2D, 3D in the same space, and they don't have a very strong non-linear, or a stacked video editor that you would find typical of something like DaVinci. So this is like DaVinci, Krita, and other storyboard software mixed into one. So let's begin. Is it nice and clear why and what we use a storyboard for? Or should I try make it? That should be fine. So, Jish, I hope that answers your question. Okay, so let's begin. So first things first, we have our script file, and we open it up, and it's basically a text file. So you write your text and then you save it as .fountain, F-O-U-N-T-A-I-N. So let's load that up. Go into my Leaving Earth project, go into my documents, go into my short scripts. I have 13 of them. We're going to load up the second one. And here it is. So if we take a look at this, as you can see, you have my fountain script loaded up here like a text script, and it looks all good. It's great. So let's look at the add-on that we have called Unfurl Fountain, which is the first add-on, and we're going to take a look at the GitHub. This is done by Gabriel Montagne, and it's called the Blender Add-on Unfurl Fountain, which is basically a minimalist repurposing of 10-to-10s, which is a very strong video sequencer editor developer and advocate for the video sequencer editor. Add-ons to kind of get some extra functionality and juice out of it. But this is a more of a minimal version. So basically, it just creates a button that says Unfurl Fountain to strips. Beautiful. So let's do that. Nice and minimal. So here, I've scrolled down and I'm using a newer version, I think. And I have Unfurl Fountain to strips. So I've written everything in the correct formatting. If you want more information about how to format a fountain script, take a look at, let me just copy and paste this into the chat so you can take a look. So that's the first one. If you need more information about the Blender Fountain script writing process, you can check out Tintuin's Blender Screenwriter add-on, which is basically you could write your scripts directly and preview them directly inside Blender. So it's kind of cool. It kind of splits up your text editor and it helps you set up your formatting and system, and it also has a lot of information of what is the markup, what is an act, what is a sequence, what is a scene, scene headings, scene numbers. You can have actions and characters. So I'm going to share this one as well, and I'm going to call this the Blender Screenwriter add-on. It's a very good one. and this will give you an idea, and it has extra links as well to help you find some other tools to do this. So if you're like a story writer and you want to create, yes, he makes some excellent add-ons, TT, you're quite right. So if you want to know more about what this whole script writing, story writing concept is, this is the industry standard. So this is what script writers would use. It works in, if you look at like the Fountain website, fountain.io, this is where you find more than 50 different, or like I think it's 50 different types of software that you can use with the markup. And you can download, for example, the movie Big Fish. You can take a look at how they did it. And this is basically where you can work. So as you can see, there are many different software that does this, that works with this. And you also have a Blender add-on. So there you go. It's basically just a markup. So you get your story right, you understand what your story is, you structure your story, you use it all good, you're in here, and then you press the magic button, unfurl, and we scroll down, and here it is. Let's just make sure I set the frame range to the strips, and if we take a look here in the center of the screen, I have my first shot, my second shot, and then the text or the description. The next shot with no text, unfortunately. Then over here, maybe I need to do some formatting. But basically, it kind of reads everything I have or I need here. So let me just remind you. If a scene is set up, you just got to make sure you have your spaces correctly done. So let me just do that nice and quickly. Keep forgetting the formatting, but it's worth learning. Okay, so if we save this, we delete everything, just select all, delete, unfurl again, here it is. As you can see, it has created a preview of every scene. We have the scene at the top here. We have the text or description of the scene. We have the dialogue from the song, and then we have the description of the scene. Change scene. We have the more what's happening on the scene, and then as you can see, it's timing everything pretty much on point. So if I read it out loud, press play. Here we go again, and then it changes. So the timing is pretty much about the same as when you read it out loud. So this is the first add-on that we use. This is basically, we have the markup of the script of our story, where we write down the story, which we can use as a PDF, convert it to a PDF, write the cues and things for the video sequencer editor so that we have a timing in the video editor of each shot. So for example, this shot here with a lot of like high altitude shots looking down from a few special buildings, droves of ants like lines of people moving into it as a drone traffic flies over what looks like a government building or library. Drones split off from the traffic. So all of this could be happening at the same time. So what I could do is I can grab the handles and I could edit the timing of that shot to the music. That's kind of nice. So this is going to be my master edit of this particular sequence of shots. But now I'm going to show you the second add-on. So the next step after we have a time of the script, we go into the concept of using sequences and scenes to drive our story. So let's call this the master scene. If we go into the concept of the scene view in the outliner, which is here in this view. So you go to the outliner, go up to the scene view. In the scene view, we have my library scene and my master scene. And my master scene is going to be my master edit, I guess you could say, where we have the audio. So let me just import the song. Let's get a sound for the Leaving Earth. Go to the audio folder, grab the second song. Probably I should arrange by name. There we go, this one by DG Unknown. He is the current. See, look at the timing. So I wrote the script pretty much to the time of the song, because that's how I've done this a while, I guess. And so I have a rough idea of all the shots based on the music. So let's just unmute it. You guys in Discord shouldn't be able to hear it, but if you're on Twitch, if you're on Twitch or YouTube, you should be able to hear it, hopefully. So there we go. So we've got, it plays on Discord. Nice. Shmel is writing. Oh, don't worry. Okay, scared you off. Don't worry. So, okay. So now we have the audio, and now we have the text that we need to with the timing, and now we can go into scene, organization, and cameras. And we're going to take a look at the second add-on, which is called the Scene Strip Tools. So I'm just going to copy this over as well, and copy the text. So the Scene Strip Tools is basically an add-on that gives us the ability to toggle and to link cameras to scene strips, and also to link, convert cameras to markers, and also to toggle scene strips. So the one that's really interesting here is called Toggle Scene Strip. There is another add-on that is available for free. All of them are for free. Is you can have a change to scene from scene strip, or the VSE switch to scene. Both of them are done by Tin, and all these two add-ons here, they do the same thing as what I have here, but my favorite is called the Scene Strip Tools, because it has a couple of, it links to cameras, which is kind of nice, similar to Unreal Engine. So let's take a look and see what that does. So if this is my master scene, and I'm in my scene manager, what I can do is I can create a copy settings of a scene. So this creates another scene that is empty with nothing. I'm going to call this scene 2 P01. So this is my first shot. If I go back to my master edit, like this quickly switches over the scenes. I go back to my scene, and as you can see, my first shot, SO2 P01, this is my first shot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to Shift A, add a new scene, and I'm going to add SO2 P01. And here it is. Let me just turn on the snapping. Here we go. So this is a scene. As you can see, I see nothing here. That's okay. Sorry about the megaphone in the background. I really should put a sign up. Okay, but I'll continue. So in the scene, if I go down here into my Scene Strip Tools in the tab here, I have the Toggle Scene option. I've got the link sequencer to 3D Viewport, which we can use in the sub-edits, add camera as a scene strip, or convert camera marks to strip. But here we can just toggle the scene strip, which I changed to Control Tab. So if I click that, it jumps into the scene, and if I click that again, it jumps back. So if I have multiple scenes, so for example, I'm going to do a linked copy, another linked copy, and this would be shot 2, this is going to be shot 3. If I go back to the master edit, I can link through different scenes nice and quickly. So for example, I'm going to add in, back to the master edit, I'm also going to add in scene 2 and scene 3. Put it in here, and put it over here, more or less. And just snap this down to here, and snap this about here. So now with this new operator from the add-on, I'm using this editor to edit between the 3D spaces. This is what you call a master edit. So this is like one scene that has all the sequences together, which is, for example, you have a scene here, you have another scene here, you have another scene here, and I can just toggle the scene strip and toggle back, go into this one, toggle that one, and toggle back. So in this scene, I could add, for example, let's just get an add menu, and I'll add a cube, and I'll add a camera. This is important. Go into the camera mode, look at the cube, All right, so this is my scene, and then I toggle out. So if I look here into the 3D viewport, you can start to see that with the cache, I actually have a camera preview of that particular scene. I can move this upwards. And I have my text. If I want to keep it on top, I can. It's no problem. And now I have a preview, basically, of what is happening in my 3D space with everything else. All right. So that's the second add-on. We got scene strips, and we have the unfurling of the script here for the animatic. And now we're ready to add things into the world and work with the asset collections. So just give me a moment, there's someone at the door. All right, I'm back. All right, guys, I think I'm back. All right, so let's go to the asset browser layout that I created. Basically, in Blender, there is no default asset layout that we've included or that they have included yet. But if you want to make one, you can save it in your startup blend file, which I usually do. And I like to have, for example, one outliner in a Blender file view so that I can see everything I can save with a filter or not. So for example, I can see my node groups, I can see my objects, I can see my materials, all of the materials in the scene, and I could just right click on it and I can mark it. And I have my normal outliner in my normal view. And then I have my asset browser. So when you create an asset, or when you click on something and then mark as an asset, this will show up in your unassigned tab of your collection editor. And the collection editor is the asset browser is what you're going to use in your tags to kind of organize things. But what happens if you already made an asset library? But before we do that, I'll just do a quick demonstration. So for example, I have a file, a disk that I have here. I'm just going to import a day, a collada file, and just drag the file over. Oh, quick tip. If you drag a folder or a file over into the browser, it will navigate to that folder. So that's a nice quick way of getting to a folder without copying and pasting the path. So you can just drag and drop. So let's import the collada file. Let's put everything inside of a collection, except for the camera. We're going to name this collection prop office desk number 1. And we're just going to take a look. Since this is a collada file, the textures, the materials won't import. So we'll just quickly swap over to our properties editor, make use nodes turn it off on the objects so that we can see what everything is more or less. The basic default materials. There we go. So we've got this nice little office. Oh, and one extra little add-on that I highly recommend is called the Asset Snapshot add-on. So let me just get the link for that. So the Asset Snapshot add-on is going to help you save collections with pictures. So in Blender, the default, when I mark a collection here, so if I take a look, add on the filter, see the collection here, let's mark it as red. This red collection, when I mark it in Blender, it is going to save it as a circle. That's fair for no apparent reason. They're working on this, so hopefully it will be better in the future. But we don't want this. What we want to do is we want to use the Asset Snapshot add-on, which gives us a preview resolution, takes the camera view. When I hit Asset Snapshot Collection with the collection selected, I click on this and it will generate, okay, there's no lights. Let me just add some lights first. I'm gonna bump it up to a... Sorry, let me just make sure all the props are here. Good. So now I have like a sunlight, basic sunlight, like this. Select the collection, and if I want a new snapshot, just select the collection. Even if it exists, it's okay. This is good to just like help us capture the thumbnail. We go into the scene view, just add in a new background, capture another thumbnail. And there we go. We've got ourselves a thumbnail, which is the center of the viewport. We can zoom in or out. We can rotate around. We can like take another photo, or maybe the shot's better. Like this one, I like this one more. Hit the asset snapshot button and it will save the asset, this collection here. Great. This is useful. This is in the current file. And with that, inside the current file, we have the option of asset libraries. But first, let's add a tag. So we're just going to call this tag prop. And we're going to drag this into the prop tag after we save the file. So let's just save the file. And we'll call this the Q&A Animatic 01. Right, so we have this. Now it's saved. What? Assets only from this current can be moved between catalogs. Okay, fine. Whatever, we'll have to do it elsewhere. I'm not sure why. But as I said, the asset browsing collections is still a bit broken sometimes. So let's go back to the video editing layout that we have here. And we have the scene with the desk. And now we have some cameras, and we can go back to working with our asset browser. And if we have an asset browser, we can go to the paths. This edit asset library paths only exist in Viewport Artist. So in Blender, you're going to have to go to Edit, Preferences, File Paths, and then Asset Libraries to select your asset library. In Viewport Artist, you can go to Edit, Asset Library Paths, and it will load it there for you directly. So, all right. So from there, once you have your asset library, you can see in the bottom right here, let's scroll in, a little plus sign. If you click on the plus sign, we can navigate to any folder. In this case, the folder where we have the models that I have set up for today. So in my downloads, my season 2, I'm going to add an asset library. So here, this is going to select this whole entire folder and search for all the blends and all the assets inside the blend files, inside that particular folder. So you could have 100 objects, 100 different blends, and it will list all of them as one library. So let's do that. So I've added it, it's called SO2. And if we go here and search into the library, we can select SO2, go to unassigned, and it is now searching and creating an index of all of my assets that I have created. At the moment, I only have these ones, these buildings, but that's good enough. So now in the asset browser, you can use link, append, or append reuse data. So what we're going to do is we're going to, basically for this layout, I'm going to just hide this, unlink this for now. And basically I need an environment. So I'm going to use the link option because I want to keep the source files the same as my animatic files. And I do not want to add this information to this file. When I link this as linked data, this means the information is going to be basically referenced. Oh, the Snapshot add-on. Yes, let me just share that link for you. 1 second. Copy, paste, Snapshot add-on. Paste here. Oh, I did. Oh, I already gave a second link. Sorry about that. Thanks, Arta Ashmo, for that link. Okay, so let's get back. So I'm going to link the data. And when you link the data, it's going to show up two things as an asset collection. It's going to show two things. One is an instance, and the other thing is an actual linked scene data. As you can see, I have information that has been linked in, and I have its sub-information also linked in as linked in data, or linked referenced data. So I'm going to just take a look at the whole scene. This is looking all right, cool. This is my groundwork for the shots that I could use, but I only need the instance for now. So what is the difference between a linked scene and an instanced scene, or a linked collection and an instanced linked collection? Basically, one, I cannot move. It's impossible to move. And the other one, I can move. All right, I can place it anywhere in the world and I can move it. So let's unlink the scene, the collection, and just use the instance. So now we can move it. And let's add a couple more buildings, yeah? So let's link in this one. We'll link in this one. We'll link in this one. Just add a whole bunch of different buildings nice and quickly. Like this. It's compiling shaders still. And this really big one here in the background, which is really nice. As you can see, all of these linked collections are no longer needed. So we just unlink them. And then we have buildings positioned everywhere that we need them. And we can work that. Put this sphere in the background here, and this big building, I'm going to put it back here. I also probably need to increase the depth of my camera. So let's just make sure my camera is added. We'll call this scene camera S01 or 2 P01. Go into it. There it is. As you can see, my clip is broken because cameras default to 1,000 meters. But the scene is quite large, so we'll go to 10 kilometers. So here we are, we've got the first scene, first cameras, and we use the asset browser to quickly create a layout for our animatics, which is nice. This is exactly what we needed. Alright. Alright. So from there we can work that. Alright, so let's go back to the video editing, and we have this camera here. And I wanted to ask you guys, do you guys know how to bind your cameras to your animation sequence? No? Alright. Well, I'll just quickly show you. So here at scene 1, we have one camera, and maybe we're going to just add in a couple extra cameras. So this could be camera A and camera B, just for fun. And we're going to use, for example, with my first camera, I'm going to put my camera here like this, like a very wide shot of the environment. And in my second camera, I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to take a look at this particular building with where the door is here, like this, which is another wide shot, but just to kind of like show where we're going. And we might see some people walking in here. So I have the first camera and the second camera, and I'm ready to put it in. So this is where we can do a timeline here in the dope sheet. And in the dope sheet or the timeline, now let me just bring out a dope sheet. There we go. So we'll grab a dope sheet. And in the dope sheet, we have an option here in marker called bind cameras to markers, or in Blender, the Control B button. We can do this everywhere. In the marker menu, we can also bind it in the video sequencer editor. We can also bind it here in the dope sheet, and we can also technically bind it in the marker of the timeline as well. So we don't really need the dope sheet, maybe for animation later. So we can, for example, select the first camera, preview in here, press Control B. Down at the bottom, as you can see, I have Control B as my box select. If you have it something else, that's okay. But at the bottom here, there's like an invisible strip. This is where your markers are set. Inside the invisible strip, you can press Control B, and your camera will be bound. So if I move my timeline a little bit to maybe 5 seconds in, I can select the second camera, and I can bind it to the timeline. So now I move here, and then it moves here to the next camera. I've got 2 cameras. And if I toggle the scene strip back, as you can see, I now have the master scene reflects the two cameras inside scene 02 shot 1. So I got two cameras here. So that's a nice way of doing it. But what happens if I want to change things a little bit, you know, like edit things? So I can toggle the scene strip and go back, and I'll have an option of linking the sequencer to the 3D viewport if I use the scene strip tools. So in this case, I can convert camera markers to strips, and this will create two new strips where I can turn on the sequence to the 3D viewport. And now I can use this system to kind of shift and move around the cameras however I want to, retime it a little bit as if they were strips instead of markers. This only works, and then I can go back, like for example if I want the second shot to be longer, I can go back, deselect everything, turn this off. But this is like, I mean, it's an add-on, so I wouldn't really trust it. I'd rather use camera markers, because yeah, now I'm having difficulty toggling back. I can just click on the master editor. So now the scene camera strips are updating based on the new strip. But that's another option of the add-on. I mean, it's optional, but it's more reliable when you're rendering to use bound camera markers. Now we have these two cameras, we're looking good. And now we can start using a grease pencil, for example, to draw in this area. So we can go to 2D animation view. We can go to, for example, just texture, the object view, go to studio color, like this gray view. And we can go create a new grease pencil. And we can use, for example, in the 3D space, and go back to our camera. Just make sure that it is zoomed out correctly. And in the grease pencil mode, we're going to just set up a couple of things to edit, and then we can start working from there. So basically, you got to select this, the new grease pencil stroke, go into draw mode, and in draw mode, in view, you want to turn your origin or stroke placement based on 3D cursor, orientation view, and then turn on use grid. So if I click on, and also I can change the scale of the grease pencil stroke. So for example, down here at the base here, let me just make the grid bigger. Or you can see that there's like, let me just go into 3D view. We'll look at the 3D cursor, which is here. You can see that there's like a little floating grid in 3D space. So this floating grid is basically your plane that you're drawing on based on your view. And so I can draw here, and then I can rotate the view, and I can draw here, and I would have these 3D strokes based on the axis of where I'm looking at in the particular depth of using the 3D cursor. So I'm placing the 3D cursor anywhere in the world, and when I'm using the 3D cursor, it kind of helps me draw here, and then I can draw over here, and I can draw over here, and this will give me 3D depth of my drawings to plan my animation. And this is really nice for basic stuff. So that's basics, you know, 3D cursor, view mode, overlay settings, turn on your use grid and your grease pencil overlays. You can make it X-rayed or not, so you can help kind of realize what's happening or not. And then you can start drawing here in the dope sheet with the grease pencil mode, the layers just like in Photoshop, the materials which are kind of like preset brushes, or you can use vertex colors and paint whatever color you want from a palette, which is kind of nice. And this will also show up if we go here. And let me just change the radius to like 200, and I draw a nice big, where's my grease pencil, here it is, and I draw these big lines like this, maybe even more, 500 since this is a really big scene, so 500 pixels, here it is. So I got the like this shape here, maybe I can like choose another color to kind of show that something is happening here. And the normal view would be like this. Make sure my scene lights are in here. So I have this, if I go back to my video editing and I go back to my master scene, you can choose, and if you don't see it yet, you can go to your view settings and you can turn on scene strip display. Right now it's on solid, but we can also have material preview. So if we refresh the view, it's going to take a moment. Unfortunately, it's a bit slow. There it is. So now I have the grease pencil here shown up inside the actual video sequencer editor with any other scene. So these scene collections that I'm using, I can all quickly organize and switch between different parts of the world. Like for example, I'm out here in the building, I set up the scene with the building with painted backgrounds and a cool sky. Then I can have another scene inside the doorway where everything's detailed in the door. In the big scene, there's nothing in the door. In the medium scene, I have all the details in the door. And then then I can have like another detail shot of just the character and just the wall and just the thing that the character is going to hold, the briefcase on the floor, for example. So I can split up my I guess you could say linked information into containers, which are scene containers. Set up the cameras to however I want. I can add cameras, I can remove them, I can minimize them, and I can have some flexibility from the story to then put it into a sequence inside of a master edit by referencing these scenes in the master editor with a sequence. And I can read the text so I can kind of remind myself what my general story is about. And that's it, really. So, is it clear? I hope it is. So let's just do a quick summary. An animatic is basically what we need to do when we need to kind of plan our ideas. Just to give you a visual idea of this completely, let's load up my most recent animatic. It's just going to take a moment to load. Where I have the first 18 seconds, 13 or 18 seconds of the shots, which is about 3 cameras. I had written for 2 cameras, but I decided to work in 3 cameras to kind of tell the story a bit better, thanks to Aaron's advice. And I've been using my Painterly setup with the lighting and some basic color cards and photo bashing to some degree to kind of plan my shots. So I've already unfilled all of the scripts of all of the songs, and I have already worked on the timing of all of the songs and all of the stories as well, which is about 13 different songs. And with that, I've started to create my libraries of everything. And I'm creating the shots now. Just setting up the cameras, setting up the basic information. Why is it taking so long? There it is. Finally. So here it is. I have all my animatics. I got song 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have my common animatic, which is my general library. Inside the library, I have the collections from all of my songs, all the references, and all the elements that I need. And I have them split up into different collections so that when I go to my first song, which is this one here, I have everything already set up. If we go into my animation mode, turn on my rendering, let it compile the shaders briefly. If you can take a look at the timeline, I have 1, 2, 3 cameras. Still compiling. Just turn this on to vertex mode. Give me a moment. Might go to normal render mode. There we go. So I have my first camera. It's nice and sorted based on the music. I got some drones flying around. I've got some a forklift driving around. where it's like loading up something that I need to put on the forklift, and then the camera tracks it, and then I use another tracking shot with another robot repairing a rocket engine of some kind. So I have these 3 shots set up as like...
Hi, you've reached DG Unknown's Android repair service. That's Android as in robot repair service. I'm not able to take your call right now, so if you leave me your name and number, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks.
And that's my first shot. If I go back to my master edit, should probably not rush it since it's still compiling. But now I have all my scenes set up per song, and each of my songs could be a sub master where I could have other scenes for different shots if I need it to. For example, here's my master where I have a different part of the city, different parts of the collection showing. I've got different cameras. I have everything's organized into compartments or sections of the story based on the cameras. It's kind of like what you would normally do in real life, where you have a big warehouse, and in the warehouse, one corner you might have the spaceship, and on another corner you might have the planet outside the spaceship, and on another corner you might have the models that you're going to be filming with a green screen, and in another corner you might have like this incredible rig to help people jump really high to do the space action scenes with green screen and markers on another corner of the warehouse. So you compartmentalize the different parts of the story to the different sets, to the different green screens or whatever, to start filming. And in 3D, when you use your scene collections, you're doing the same thing. And using the video sequencer editor, you can kind of have a central warehouse for everything that you're going to film, and then each scene that you use, sub-scenes, you can use it as kind of like a container for your visual edits, your first animatics of where you're like planning out the layout, the lighting, you're planning out the characters, where are the characters, what are the characters going to do, you're planning out you're even starting to fusion storyboarding with 3D with the grease pencil, meaning you can skip the entire process of storyboarding altogether sometimes when you can directly work in 3D. So if you don't know how to draw your stories, you can still make a story by using what you know best in 3D directly with your story to draft, story to animatic. So that's it for today. I hope these add-ons are helpful, and I hope you guys get some stories out there and start unfurling them into the sequencer, start organizing your scenes, and get some work, get a message. I mean, that's why we do 3D, is to communicate something. And so this is the kind of like the foundation of how to get your story out there using linear content storytelling, which is basically animation. So useful? Do you have any questions? If you have questions, please write in the Q&A chat or open up your microphone and I can elaborate on anything if you want. Just let me know.
Very helpful, Darius. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad. Is there anything else you'd like to know? Oh, Slink says I did a sneaky B4Artist ad. Yes, you're right. Another cool thing about B4Artist is that with scene management, if I have this outliner on my second screen, for example, I have the ability to add in my scene management directly from the outliner, as with collections, or I can right click on a scene and I can manage my scenes here. In Blender, you cannot access this menu, it does not exist, and you cannot manage your scenes from the outliner here. You can only delete scenes, select and delete. So here you can copy, linked copy, full copy from the outliner directly without needing to go to your other window, to the top of the Blender, to this plus sign, to the drop down, and then click. right? It just makes life a little bit more direct, you know, copy onto any scene and then just link copy or whatever. That's a quick little tip if you want a little bit more finesse with the user experience of scene management inside Blender. Just says, thanks a lot. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you'll use it. And I guess that's that. So, if you're here, I'm glad most of you are here till the end. I'm happy that you could connect. It's nice to see you, Slink, as well. And yes, Sneaky P for Artists plugs all the time. I'm currently run a Ko-Fi or Patreon. If you think this is useful to you, a beer goes a long way here, and I highly appreciate your time hanging here. So I'll be here next time, same place, same time next week here in Arundel's Discord server.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure, Small, great.
So, sorry. This was running a little bit before. This is my first time at the Q&A, so is this usually how it works?
This is usually how it works, yes. Typically...
Aaron's here usually, right?
Actually, he doesn't connect that often, so I kind of carry it for him.
Cool.
But sometimes, if you have a question, for example, and you post it throughout the week, I do some investigation and see if I can answer it for you. Also, we sometimes review art. This week we had no art review, so it was more like a tutorial, I guess you could say. But welcome.
Nice.
So, for example, we got a couple regulars here as well that often give good art advice as well. Darren's pretty good here. Slink likes to share his art here often. Shade Snoop.
Can I share stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, whatever. So, back on the Discord, like earlier this week, there was a whole discussion about wires in Blender. There was like a thread about it. So I did a lot of working on it, and over like 24 hours, and I came up with like this whole I have like a whole project full of just junk. I don't want to share it, but I want people to know what to look for in it, as opposed to like I don't really want to organize it. So like whoever's here will like know what's in it.
Oh, that sounds good.
At least.
Last week,
So,
in fact, last week we did a Geometry Nodes showcase and interview with Plebes, who's here in the chat.
Plebes, yeah.
So
actually, yeah.
If you want,
tell me about that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Could I share my screen?
Yeah, sure. And also, if you want, like, I'm about to tie it up today because I've been here about an hour.
Finish, sure.
But I'll tell you what. If you want, we can give a little teaser of what you have to show right now. And next week, would you like to be the special guest of honor? We can do a quick little interview, take a look at your setup, and
I usually can't make it because it's just a bad time.
Oh, okay.
Of the day. Like, I'm never available at that time. So,
all right, let's do it now. Sure, why not?
Otherwise, I would be happy to do that, but this is like one of the rare. This is like the first time I was actually able to make it because of certain circumstances.
Oh, nice. Hopefully, starting 1 hour later helps as well.
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, definitely. I don't know if it helps. It just between those times, it's just like it's just not time of day for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, I still can't see your screen though.
Yeah, I didn't share it yet.
You're getting ready. There you go. I see it. Let me watch.
We're up. Okay. So I've heard from some, like, maybe you, that you've seen this before. What's it called? I've shared this before.
Yes, I saw this the other day.
And you said you've heard about this from other people as well. So there's 2 parts to it. Although it looks very messy, I might organize it a drop more before I share it. But there's generally two methods of doing coils. Really one method, which is the wrapping around method. I'm just gonna
Wrapping around method.
here. I'm just gonna play the curve to mesh method, more accurately stated, which is if you're able to curve, you're able to do a curve to mesh, generally. Which this is not what I'm showing off. This is what
Basic
is
theory.
the basic method.
So you're setting the
old
curve tilt of a line to twist
yes,
it?
which this is not what the whole fuss is about. This is just the simple one, and then you multi-twist it. There's a lot of limitations with this method. This top one is built with both methods, and this is the result of the first way. I'm not going to explain this because
Pretty
I don't
extensive.
know if you want to. Yeah, but
Nice and
I'll show.
clean though.
Okay, this. What?
Very clean tree.
Yeah, I did clean this up, and then I started tinkering a lot in the bottom. So this is the method of the wrapping around, and this is the method I'm going to show you now. So down here, I have a whole bunch of nodes, node trees that I've just put together. There are simple ones, some work better than others. They all use pretty much the same method. I got one to very simplified, which uses curve tilt, and then I've used other ones that don't use curve tilt. So I'm just going to go with a simple, start with this simple method. So basically, there's the general, if you know how to make a coil with a sine wave, this is basically the method for that. So there's a way of making a coil with a curve line, or even a mesh line, is which is what you do is you take you separate x, y, z from the position, and then you put it into a multiply into a sine wave. I replaced the z with the length, or you could use the factor, which just also need to resample it, obviously. Otherwise you get nothing, which that makes the simple thing. What I've done is just I've rotated the vector along the tangent z, which does magic. Okay, this is the simple thing behind the whole rest of it. And then there's the radius and the tilt. This is the simple method behind what I'm about to show you.
Okay.
So what I've done is I've radially, basically I've used either duplicate elements, which is a new node, or you can do the same old method with just a mesh line and instance of points. This one has some bugs because when I did tweaking, I did them mainly in the 3.2 version. So yeah, so I'll just show you what it does, and you can just look at all the nodes and have fun. Very
Have you shared this
very
file in
simple.
the server before?
I have, but
Right.
I've done it once in the early stages and once in the mid stages. I haven't actually shared all these things yet. I will share it soon, and you guys can all. I might maybe put it on Gumroad. I'm not sure though. I don't really do Gumroad that much. Yeah, but it would be free, obviously. So this is basically, you duplicate elements, and what I do is I'll show you in the one I organized neatly.
Okay.
So half the math is deletable, but and also I have a lot of stuff that I can change to improve it, but basically I capture it. Basically this is basically duplicating elements. I don't know why I didn't use the duplicate elements node here as opposed to a curve line, a mesh line. You can replace it with this all with a duplicates elements node.
Okay.
So yeah. And then what I do is I offset each one radially, and I divide it by the I divide here. I'm just gonna look at this.
Oh, wow.
and you divide it by tau to make it radially arrayed. I don't know why I multiplied it afterwards, but I've said there's a lot of stuff that I just needed to
All right.
adjust. But basically, and then then you do the sine wave and everything. After you radially array them, and I also added some control that the twist doesn't mess it up, just counterbalance basically. You just 1 divided by the thing multiplied before, and then afterwards by the twist, so it just counters it. Don't ask me how math works. Right.
Yeah.
I don't even know myself, so half part of this, but I know how some of it works, although I came up with it. So
Very nice.
so basically, this is the simple method, and then if you do 2 in a row, which I have done down here, so let's say you have 1 and then a second one afterwards, you do this, and you get coil. Or I've done it up here and then added stuff. And then you get like these things. And I love the cycles new thing. I use points now. And I get the spheres instead of the
Oh, that's
points
nice.
because I love why instance a sphere if you can just instance a vert and turn it into points.
True.
I
Wish
I
it
just
worked
love that
maybe,
new thing
though.
now. What I really wish they had is curves like that. I'm not sure if it's possible, but like curves that render as just. I'm not sure if it's like a say method or I don't know how Blender works, but if they can actually make curves that render like that, that would be quite nice. I don't know, I think that would save a lot of
Render by
processing power.
points?
Like, for example, let's say you see how like it's a point, but it's just an infinite sphere.
Yeah.
So a curve would be an infinite resolution cylinder.
Based by a
I don't
chain
know
of
if it's
spheres.
possible. Yeah, I don't know. But that takes up a lot if you do a chain of spheres, though.
Yeah.
It points to, if you make that many points, it gets heavy anyways. Yeah, so this is the simple method of it. Although I did change something in here. Let me just go back to this view. You see how they're just like coils around?
Yes. Yeah.
So basically I have something called a phase, which is just, it's kind of like a random offset because in the first version, I had a lot of randomization I put in, as opposed to this version doesn't have as much, but it's more solid version because it wraps around. So I have a phase min and phase max, which just basically kind of like random, like it randomizes the. Basically, it's a multiple. It's you multiply the offset. You know how I radially arrayed it, so it's you basically offset it randomly. So then you can get random stuff, and also. I didn't do that before, but what you can do is, what's it called? A random value. Sorry. This will take a second, but pretty short second.
No group
Okay,
input.
and then I'm just gonna put the ID of this. This is just random per spline as opposed to making it random per, yeah, and then I add it to this.
To the scale. Ooh.
Okay, let's make it both to, what was the scale? Okay, let's put it
It
to,
was that one.
oh, and then here, then I want to probably multiply it by the original scale just for simplicity's sake. Although it depends. Some people don't like as many inputs, so I like to just have a min and max, and you can just put your drag slide down and do both at the same time. But you literally can adjust these nodes all you want. All right, so now let me just lower this radius a bit, not to 0, but to like something low. 0.5.
Oh, nice.
0.
It all looks like a hair from Dreadlock.
1. Okay, fine. So now it's basically what I did now is you see how it's all filled up, as opposed to I change it to 1. Now it's radially arrayed. So this is basically the scale. It's the radius, not the scale. I renamed it in half the nodes I didn't rename. So the scale is the radius, which I'll rename before I share it. But if I make it kind of go from 0 to 1, then it kind of fills up the inside space, which I've done with the previous method. But you can all dissect that.
Very nice. I can't wait till
or
it goes to Gumroad.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to share it on Discord before it goes, if it goes to Gumroad. But
Yeah, the community's nice. There's so much good material here.
Yeah.
Every now and then I just
Gumroad is more steps. Here I can
it.
just post it. And
Yeah.
whatever.
Drag and
Also,
drop.
Yeah. Yeah, what else I was going to show you?
So
Also, there's
what was the inspiration to create this curves around curves, spiraling, or rope? What drove you to make this?
It was helping people on the help chat.
All right. People were
On
requesting
Discord.
this. Nice.
Yeah, people wanted to know, and I had an idea, and then I just did it. Yeah. Also, there's a tree in here that does this operation. Just I have it in here, one of these. Yeah. It's a curved twist. Just a slinky kind of thing.
Slinky thing, yeah.
But
I love
you can
it.
use
Telephone cord.
You can use factor or length. Factor is from one end to another, and it doesn't change, as opposed to yeah. I know you guys, so you might probably know how this works, but just for those who don't, length is like this. It just grows.
New ones, yeah.
And
Factor is a fixed number.
Factor is a fixed number.
Bit like a spring or a telephone cord.
Yes, exactly. And then this one has like a resample option. Yeah. And that's the whole thing.
That's the concept.
That's not
Very
the whole
nice.
thing, obviously. There's more to it, but
Right now it's time to make a person in some dreadlocks answering a cord-based telephone.
Yes.
Playing with a slinky.
I think it's really, really useful to
Excellent.
all these things. And it has an index as well for okay, so the difference between the duplicate index and the index is the duplicate index is the same per spline. It's per, basically it duplicates whatever's inputted. Also, I need to add a selection. There's no selection. I just need to plug this into the select, and then see, half of them I made selections, half of them I didn't. Whatever. I would put it on the top anyways. So yeah, the duplicate, I'll just show you here. So this one's just 3, so it's simple. Fine. And right. So it's this per spline. So since there's 2 splines originally in this, it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Because there's 5. So each of these is 0 to 4. As opposed to this index is something you can just capture by yourself. The first one is from the duplicate elements. The second one is just you capture the index per spline. You can just get it yourself if you want. And then, yeah, for more randomization, I just believe that's better. I might even delete this output and you can do it yourself. I'll think about it. And yeah.
Depends if it affects performance or not. If it doesn't affect performance, then you can keep it in there. Why not?
I don't know. Maybe it'd be cluttery for some people. Anyways, I have simple ones if you don't like clutter. For example, this one.
I love top level nodes. I think.
See, this one actually works with a curved tilt, which sometimes gives me issues. But this literally here, if I remove the curved tilt, by the way, yeah, this node, if you remove the curved tilt, is just literally a radial array.
Okay.
And then the tilt controls the tilt. Right? And you can do it manually if you want. Instead of setting curved tilt, you can do that. So this one I wanted to see if I can make like the simplest of these nodes, like really simplify this node down.
Oh, that's
So
good.
this one I found some issues. Also in all of them, if you make the radius too big, sometimes I think I find issues. It could be a resampling problem. It could be something else. Like not every, as like all geometry nodes, not everything is perfect, but it works pretty well.
Ah, perfection is not always required.
Yeah. So you might run into some bugs around if the tangent isn't very straight or if it's very sharp angles. Yeah, but you use it and yeah. Also, these are very big curves. These are like meters and meters long.
Yeah, makes sense.
If you're doing it to scale, you actually shouldn't find that many problems. I think it's like the further it gets from the original curve, like the more issues it might have. But yeah. So this is like a really simple one if you yeah. And then there's a really useless node, which is this one.
It's still
And
kind of
that
nice
one-
for motion graphics, trails of different kinds.
If you resample it, it gets back to normal. I probably will delete this one because it does the same thing as this, except there's no tilt in it. I'll just delete some of these nodes. So this one, I literally just added the tilt to this,
To the
as opposed to
rotation
multiplying
over
it
there.
here.
Gotcha.
So yeah. But all I did is I divided the thing to make the radial array.
Okay. All right, Shmuel.
Nice.
So I think I'm going to have to close the stream here, but hopefully once you release this, you're going to get some decent downloads and hopefully good feedback. Can't wait to see how you're going to work at it.
Yeah.
I will. Thanks for sharing that, and I will be keeping an eye out. So when you release it, I'll also plug you here in the next stream next Thursday or the week after. Let me know.
Like if I'm able to make it.
Yeah, once you release it. What's your ETA of the release?
I don't know. I'll definitely share this file like
This week?
tonight or something.
Tonight?
Already with all the mess and everything. So
Oh, nice. So
I
next
don't know
week
if I'm
I'll
actually
definitely showcase it as well.
because I don't know if I really want to go around organizing it because that's just like annoying.
Yeah, I understand.
Whatever.
That's cool. All right. Well, thanks, Shmuel. Hopefully I can see more of you here. It's kind of nice that you're sharing these things. We'll see if we can foster that community a bit more and get people's questions answered and their solutions solved, hopefully.
Yeah, there wasn't really Q in this A.
That's okay. All right, but
Yeah.
cool. So thanks again.
Though I did learn a lot from this.
You did?
Yeah.
Good.
I don't really. Well, most of the stuff was new to me.
Good. I hope
Though
it's
I didn't
useful.
actually know what like the words meant. So I know what like storyboards are, but like, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I need some visual examples of an animatic.
Yeah, I just didn't know what animatic means, but yeah. But all these add-ons are really cool and really useful. So yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, thanks again, Shmuel. So, all of those of you who are still here, well, thanks as well. I'm going to leave the stream here. I will see you guys next week on Thursday. And thank you, everyone. Have a good